This episode is produced and made possible with the help of Raycast Media.
Si le gustaría escuchar un episodio en español, por favor escuche el siguiente episodio.
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Fuentes, and I'm part of the team here at La Incubadora Podcast. La Incubadora Podcast is part of the Economic Growth Business Incubator, a local nonprofit with the mission of providing training, coaching, and support to aspiring and existing business owners who have faced barriers to growing a successful business. La Incubadora Podcast is born out of the need to put in video and audio a lot of the success stories that we see here at the Business Incubator. We also want to answer frequently asked questions and connect small business owners with the resources to succeed in your business on your own time and wherever you are, as long as you have access to a mobile device. This episode is produced with the support of Raycast Media, and so EGBI sends a big thank you to Raycast Media for their partnership with this episode. Now, let's get ready for a deep dive into the world of business emergency preparedness. From unexpected disasters to unforeseen cyber threats, businesses encounter various challenges that can disrupt their daily operations. In this episode, we're rolling up our sleeves to uncover the essential strategies and insider tips that every business needs to weather out the storm. Join us as we explore real-world scenarios, expert advice, and insights to help your business stay resilient in the face of adversity. But before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about our guests today. Dalila Vazquez and Israel de la Vara are the owners of Puro Clean Property Savers, a remediation company in Central Texas specializing in fire, water, and biohazard cleanups. Dalila, along with her husband Israel, have been operating in the Central Texas metropolitan area since 2015. They hold multiple certifications with over 140 Google reviews, and they maintain a 5-star satisfaction rating. And so come and listen to our experts and learn how you can protect your businesses from unforeseen events. And so with that, I want to give a warm welcome to Dalila and Israel from Puro Clean Property Savers. So thank you both for joining us this morning.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David. Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, no, and happy Monday to both of you, right?
Happy
Starting
Monday,
off the
yeah.
Monday, yes, of course.
All right, Dalila and Israel, can you kind of tell us a little bit more about your business and maybe even share a little bit about yourselves also?
Sure. We're Dalila and Israel de la Vara. We are a married couple. We started this business in 2015. We moved from Mexico City just to start it and to start this new adventure. And what we've been doing ever since, it is helping people when they are experiencing the impact of having a damage at their properties. It can be commercial or home. And especially when it's something related with water, fire, mold, or biohazard damage. And our main goal is having people feel back at home after all this happened. So we're a full service company. So we try to communicate as much and the best we can so they can feel safe when we're at their homes or at their properties. We understand this is a very stressful moment when people don't know what's going on, don't understand why or what they need to do to stay safe. And our team always tries to communicate as much as possible and to help them lower that stress so they feel at ease and sure that they're in good hands, and that our main goal is just to help them and to recover one of the most important values people have, which are their real estate, right? Their properties.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's very important. I think since 2015, you've seen a variety of disasters, right, in our area, and you have almost a decade of experience, or as a business now.
Yes.
Well, we have 8 years in the business, running this business. We came from another kind of business, and this is pretty challenge for us. Start from zero here, knowing customers, knocking doors. But I was pretty excited about it, and I mean, I'm here to help people, and I love that.
Yeah, and it's a need that I feel you don't realize you need until you're in the moment and you wish you had a plan for preparation, right? And you wish you had resources like this. And
Correct.
so in in your years of operation, what are sort of the most common types of emergencies that you feel businesses should prepare for?
I mean, we start a lot with residential, and that helps us a lot, give us the tools to find where the most common disasters or incidents that comes in a property. Uh, as you know, you cannot control any kind of situation inside of a property, but you need to be prepared for that. So that's what we said to the property manager, especially commercial, because commercial every second counts. So we try to tell them that need to be prepared when those times happens. The most common kind of incidents is water. Another one is fire, and then comes the mold combined with everything, and it could be a biohazard as well. So that's the main four kind of common problems that any kind of property could have.
Yeah, no, and especially we've seen as after effects of the floodings that we have seen throughout the years, also of the snowstorms, right? That's these things are becoming more and more common. And so part of the point of having you all today in the podcast is to talk about emergency planning. For you, what are the essential components of a business emergency preparedness plan?
I mean, before going too deep on that kind of plans, we need to understand, and the people, the property managers need to understand, or the guys in charge of the business need to understand what they need to do. So they need to ask pretty simple questions, like, "Hey, where is the main water shut off valve?" So in case of a pipe burst, yeah, I can go and shut off at least, and then do I have any kind of diagrams, layout from the property? It doesn't matter the size, but I need to know exactly where is located, how is my building built, so in order to understand what I can do. Another is, do I have power restrictions in the building, so I can get in there or trying to do something if something happens. Then another question, pretty simple question, is who's gonna have access to the property? Who has the keys? Who has the key codes or anything that I can access? Because we are talking about not just a big companies or big business commercial property. It could be in a small office, but you are inside of a big building and you don't even know the maintenance guy. Who is the maintenance guy? Who can give me that kind of information to the access to the property? So that's some of them. There's so many other questions, basic questions that you need to ask before start planning or creating that kind of plan.
That perfectly makes sense, right? And perhaps these are things that you might not think about, right, until the moment comes.
Yep.
And so on top of that, once you figure out all these things, right, like what you can do, what are the basic fundamentals of a preparedness plan?
I mean, we as Puro Clean, we have designed some kind of like a 5 steps planning, and we call that planning 5 steps guide. So you need to. The first one is planning. Planning is the key for everything. So if you plan or prepare everything for an emergency, you're gonna have the time, and you're gonna address the problem in a fastest and in a better way. That's the first step that you need to take. The second one is safety. You need to understand what are the hazards inside of your your property, to understand what's going on, what could it happen, and probably you can minimize those hazards. And then when the events come, you know how to address, and you know how to call, you know how to do in case of. Then another one is customize. That's with the third step is customize. Customize your plan based on what you need. what you have on your property. Doesn't matter the size. It could be in a small office or a big company, but you need to customize the plan based on what you have. That's what I told you before. Do you have the diagrams for your property? So the architectural sketch. So that's something that is going to help for to customize. Then another step, fourth step, I call the review part. So you need to constantly or schedule review of those plans. I mean, you can create a basic or initial plan, but after a period of time, you need to check and understand, and if there's some change to do it because the layout change or you grow or another I don't know, it could happens a lot of variables combined. So but you need to constantly or schedule make some change to create a good plan. And then the last step that we recommend is just execute. When the events comes or when the emergency comes, if you follow the 4 steps before, you're gonna have the solution and you can address the problem pretty easily. I mean, easily because you're gonna have the knowledge who to call, what to do, and you're gonna have the and in a better way and in a better manner, you're gonna mitigate or remediate the problem. That's what we call that kind of 5 steps to create the emergency plan.
Yeah, no, and I think you segued into our next question very well, because one thing is planning, another step is integrating the plan when the moment
Yeah.
comes. And you've also answered a little bit, right? The diagrams. But my next question is, how can a small business owner in a small office setting communicate effectively these emergency procedures to their employees?
I mean, there's so many ways to do it. I mean, there's a safety meetings. I sometimes the small companies doesn't used to have these kind of meetings, but it's very useful at least one per week, one every 2 weeks, or at least one per month. Have these safety meetings that are very helpful to communicate the steps that they need to follow in the different kind of emergency. It could be a fire, it could be a flooding from inside or outside. So they need to. There are some safety meetings to communicate. Another kind of a communication is to have manuals uh, where the employees can get it and read it anytime. Doesn't matter if an emergency comes or not. I mean, they need to know, every single employee. That's what we recommend. It doesn't need to be the maintenance guy or the guy that is in charge for the emergency. It could be any kind of employee. And then I mean, that create some kind of emergency management plan that is going to be the same. It's a manual, very simple. Try to make it simple. Try to make it pretty easy to understand for every single employee in the company. That's there's some others. It depends on the size of of the the company, but at least try to have something to read.
Yeah. And Israel, for our small business owners, are there any resources that you could recommend for us to start creating these emergency plans?
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, there's a bunch of resources. I mean, the first one, it could be the manuals. But if they don't have the manuals, I mean, they can create some contacts. Hey, where are my contacts? Where I can if a pipe burst, who I'm gonna be calling? The property manager, a plumber. So that's some kind of resources that they are gonna need to create and put it in a manual. So that's part of the manuals where you are creating that kind of emergencies, all the resources. Another resources is, do we have extinguishers here at the office in a label in a good place when the events happen? What else? I mean, there's so many resources what kind of tools do we have? Do we have access to the different areas, or who has the keys to get into the different elevators, the restricted areas. I don't know, that kind of resources that they need to ask. It's more simple sometimes that we try to create something pretty difficult, but it's pretty simple and it's in front of our in front of us sometimes, most of the times.
Okay. Yeah. No. And so part of this, right, is once a disaster happens, your operations are affected. What are the immediate steps that businesses should take to recover and resume their operations as soon as possible?
I mean, as I told you, it's part of the plan, and this is based on the 5 steps that I said before. So I'm gonna remind them all the 5 steps. It's pretty easy. They just have 5. It's planning. Do have a plan for do that. Safety. Look for the hazards that you have around and try to mitigate or minimize. Then customize that plan. Review it every single every time that you can and do the change that you want, and then execute. When the disasters come, you know exactly what to do, and it's going to be pretty easy.
Yeah.
And
No,
I would
thank you.
add to that, sorry, David, in case something happens, time is of a lot of importance. So apart from what Israel just mentioned, it's important to react, to do something fast, to call, if it's, for example, a fire damage, of course, call the fire emergency services. If it's a water damage, first identify what's causing the fire damage, the water damage, but also call a plumber, call the roofer, whomever you need to call, to make sure the source of the water is stopped and it doesn't continue damaging your property. Because the longer it stays, for example, water, the longer the water stays in a property, the most it's more probable that there will be mold growing up in there. So that's something that will affect the property even in a worse way. And so time is of a lot of importance, and we actually have statistics that says that 40% of the businesses that suffer a damage are not able to go back to business. They stop doing business because of that damage. So it is important to react and to act immediately to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Statistics like that really kind of bring forth the importance of having these plans, and especially most of the businesses that we work with are small businesses, so it does take some resources, but in the event that these things happen, that these events occur, right, it is the matter of being able to keep your business and being able to continue running it. And so thank you so much for the information. It was a lot of information, but it's very necessary. And so I also want to give you the space, if there's something that we missed or if there's a key point that you would like for our community to take away, I want to give you the space to be able to express that.
I just want to mention two things pretty quick. I mean, the first thing is, don't be afraid to create a plan. Doesn't matter the size of the business, especially small business. Try to make that plan happens, and with all the steps that I told before. And the second one, we are here to help, not just when the disaster comes. We can help all the business to create that kind of plans, to help them to coaching what needs to be created on that plan, because it's not a big, it's not like a Bible. It's a manual, very simple manual to create and to have all that kind of information on your hand when that happens. That's all the two things that I would like to.
Okay.
Share.
No, that's great. And so Israel and Dalila, how can we find more information about your business, Puro Clean Property Savers, so that we can stay informed, and so we have the necessary resources to prepare for these disasters?
Sure. I would like to share our phone number. It's 512-956-5700. And our webpage is Puro Clean Property Savers. There are a lot of dashes, and but it's puroclean.com/Austin-TX-Puro Clean-Property-Savers. But it's Puro Clean Property Savers. And we are as Puro Clean Property Savers also on Facebook and on Instagram. And there we share a lot of information and tips to help people prevent damage or to guide people on what to do when something happens. And
there you
as
go,
Israel
folks.
said, we're here to help, and we're happy to help all our customers. And we're also a full service company. In case damage happens, we also do all the reconstruction services after that happens. So actually people can go back to their homes. Once we leave the home, it's because we've finished the job, that people can live there and the walls are back in place, everything's back in place.
Great. No, and again, I really think that this is something you don't realize that you need until it happens, and when it happens, sometimes it's too late. So it's best to be prepared, to have a plan, and then we have resources in the community like Puro Clean Property Savers to help and support our small businesses. So thank you very much for that information, for that very important information. I thank you for taking the time. It's been a pleasure chatting with you all today, and I've learned plenty from just listening, right? And so if you know someone who could benefit from listening to this episode, please share the link with them. And remember that La Incubadora podcast is a part of the Economic Growth Business Incubator, a business incubator here in Central Texas that offers training, coaching, and support to small business owners with barriers to success. So if you would like to learn more about Economic Growth Business Incubator, please visit egbi.org, and we'll see you soon. Thank you very much, Israel. Thank you so much, Dalila. So we'd love to have you some other time. Thank you for making the time today, and happy Monday, everyone.
Thank you for having us. Happy Monday.
Thank you, David, for having us.